I couldn't get a hold of Dave. I called his manager like 10 times, and I finally, on the 11th time, I left a message. I said, if you don't call me back, you're going to be hearing from Owen Sloan, who's my attorney. And so he calls me back, and then he insults me and tells me, well, Chris, all you did was a couple solos, and Dave and us thought that you would just do it for the fans. And I'm like, hey, I did it for the fans, but everybody else is getting paid. I'd like to get paid for it, you know?
Welcome to Rock Talks. Today we're talking to Chris Poland, the former guitar player of Megadeth and current We discuss his crazy stories from the Killing Is My Business and Peace Sells era, how he almost rejoined Megadeth in 1989, and his experience recording the demos for Rest in Peace, how his friendship with Dave Mustaine ended, and more. If you like this interview, please give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, and share the video with all your friends. Also, very important, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell. By the way, if you see a little advertisement at the beginning, in the middle, or at the end of the video, please do not skip it. By doing that, you're helping me a lot. Come on, guys, it's just a few seconds of your life, and it will really make a difference for me. I'm counting on all of you. Enjoy the interview. Hello, Chris. How are you, man? Thank you so much for your time. Welcome to Rock Talks.
Thanks for having me, you guys.
All right, so let's start with the interview already. So let's talk about your latest project. Let's say you are part of this new album of Fatal Opera 3. You recorded some solos for the song The Raven. Is that correct?
Yes. These were tracks that Stu Samuelson, Gar's brother, and Andy Friedman, the singer, I believe, they found some tracks that that Gar had played on and some previous tracks, and they asked me to do a couple solos on them. I was more than happy to do that.
Mm-hmm. So how this project came together? You got a phone call from David Ellefson or something like that?
Actually, I got a call from my personal manager, Steve Bauer.
Mm-hmm.
He's been working with me for, man, over 20 years. Yeah, he gave me a call and said that Andy and Stu wanted me to do a couple solos and that Dave Ellefson was going to play bass on one track. And I said, of course, I'll do it.
Mm-hmm. And did you meet David Ellefson in the studio while recording this?
No. I recorded my tracks in my studio. I had Carlos Cruz helped me record him. He engineered it, and David probably did his in his personal studio too.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. All right. So Jose Carlos, tell me, what do you think about the song The Raven?
Oh, those songs are great, man.
Oh.
And
go ahead.
It's a very progressive song, man. It takes you like to another place, man.
Yeah. Hey, Jose Carlos, I was talking to you. I was asking you, what do you think about the song The Raven? You had some comments before the interview.
Well, I love the song. I love this prog structures, and when I hear the song, I remember some metal albums like, for example, Control Denied, that album released by Jacques Schuldiner. These prog elements, maybe power metal elements, and it's a great song.
Yeah, I think so too.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. All right. So, do you guys plan to maybe play these songs live at some point?
Oh, I mean, if Fatal Opera ever comes out on the road, and I'm anywhere near them, I would hop on stage and sit in.
Mm-hmm. All right. And what about your current projects? What are you doing right now as Chris Poland?
Right now, I'm not sure guess I can say this. I mean, we signed a deal with M Theory Audio, which is, I think, a subsidiary of Century Media. And we did two songs that we presented to the label a long time ago. But Carlos, our drummer, Carlos Cruz is the drummer for Warbringer. And
the thrash metal band.
Yeah, he really injured his shoulder, his right shoulder and arm. And so we've been on a hiatus waiting for him to heal because he didn't want to get a surgery and the doctor said he shouldn't. So he's on the mend, but we had started recording this record. And so Carlos mixed the two songs that we had, already recorded, this two songs that we actually got our record deal for. And they're going to release those two songs in the next month. And it'll be up for digital download. And there's just going to be a, there's going to, I guess, going to be a big push saying that we signed with M Theory Audio and here's the two songs. And one song is called Exit Stage Left, which is dedicated to Nick Menza. And then the other song is called The Ninth One, that actually we were working with Nick when we wrote that song. And that's the title he gave it. So, because he always said, let's do the ninth one, because it was like the ninth song.
So this will be released as Chris Poland solo project.
Yeah, this is a band called OHM. OHM.
Yeah, correct. Yep, Jose Carlos.
Okay, I have some questions about your years in Megadeth.
Your legacy.
And first of all, I want to ask you, how was the last communication you had with Gar Samuelsson? What do you remember about the last contact you had with him?
Oh, I saw Gar just before he passed on Bastille Day. I was there like not even a week before he died. I went to visit. And he knew who I was, but he was pretty sick. He couldn't speak, but he could gesture, and if he was laughing, you could tell. And then when I came home, yeah, he passed a couple days after that. But I used to visit him down at his first house in Florida, which was kind of a small, almost like a ranch house that it had a tin roof, so when it rained, it was the most awesome sound you ever heard. And he had turkeys. He was raising turkeys, and in the back was his personal studio that was really cool. Do you know the album cover for the first King Crimson record? That screaming face?
Yeah.
Gar painted that by hand on one whole wall of his studio, and it looked just like the album cover.
Oh.
Yeah, no, Gar had a really cool little place down there. And then he bought a house. He moved out of that place and bought a house, and that's where his wife Gail lives now.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now I want to talk about Megadeth, about Killing Is My Business, about Pixels, great albums. But I have always been impressed with Megadeth's level of excess in those years, in the years of Killing Is My Business and Pixels. But we always know the point of view of the Mustaine. I read many years ago this book called Mustaine, a heavy metal memoir.
Yeah,
but
me too.
I want to know your point of view of those years. For example, what was the strangest or craziest experience you had during those years in the band? Maybe during the recording of the albums or on the tours.
I mean, the albums, we just were making records. I mean, we're working 12-hour days, even longer sometimes. And, there wasn't a huge budget back then on either of those records, but those days went by fast, and, we did the best we could with the budgets we had, but we made two great records. But I have a story. We were at the Ritz in New York, And it was Slayer headlined, and the Bad Brains opened, and
Nice.
we were in the middle slot.
Nice deal.
And they didn't give us any food. They gave us this like old nasty like lunch meat plate that was kind of all like just dried out and not looking edible. And Dave got really upset, man. So he started drinking, and by the time we got on stage, he was pretty lit, man. And after about, I don't even know, maybe like the fourth, fifth song, they started putting down the screen, because they have a huge screen that they used to use. I don't even know. I think the Ritz is gone, but they put the screen down, and Dave was so mad that he was going to smash his guitar. And Scott Menzies, our basically road manager, best friend on the road guy, grabbed the guitar so he wouldn't do it. But Scott said he felt the neck. He felt it like click. And I'm sure it was just the truss rod moved a little bit. So Scott let it go, and the guitar went around in a circle and broke the screen. And the only other person that ever broke the screen at the Ritz was Sid Vicious. So they got so pissed off that they took a vaudeville hook, like because the Ritz was an old theater. It's over 100 years old when I was there. And they took that vaudeville hook that they would take like people that performed that they wanted to get off stage, and they hooked Dave with it and took him off stage with a vaudeville hook, man. It was the craziest thing you ever saw. It was really amazing. I mean, I'm sure everybody who was at that show remembers every minute of it, man, because Dave was like just going crazy, man, yelling at Combat Records and Relativity Records from the stage, just telling them off because they wouldn't give us any tour support and they were not doing the right thing. And he was just pissed. And because he didn't eat and he started drinking, he just went red, man.
This was Killing Is My Business tour?
No, this is the Peace Sells tour.
All right.
We toured on Peace Sells like at least 4 times that I remember. And we played all those songs live before we even recorded the record. So
yeah.
And we were making that record for Relativity too. And Capitol Records bought it. They bought Combat out. They just bought the record from Combat and then had a different producer mix it.
Yeah. So going back to the recording experience of Peace Sells, but Who's Buying? Talking about the budget, you said it was a very small budget. Do you think Peace Sells, but Who's Buying could be a better record with a bigger?
No, I don't think so. I mean, our first budget for the Killing Is My Business record was like $6,000. The Peace Sells budget was 3 times that. And we had a month. We had a producer, Randy Burns, producing. He had all our time. Like I said, we were working 12, 14-hour days. And, he made use of every minute we were in the studio. So we had enough time. It's just, that's a month to make a record and mix and finish everything is pretty fast. But I mean, people do it to this day still. I mean, it was okay. I mean, we were working hard. We weren't messing around. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, one can tell. Masterpieces, both.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I have another question about Peace Sells. Considering songs like The Conjuring, did Dave Mustaine's knowledge of witchcraft and occultism in general create any particular atmosphere in the recording process of Killing Is My Business and Peace Sells, or not?
Possibly for himself, but not for me.
So you were not into that stuff back then.
No. I been asked this question before, and I just if that's his business, whatever he was into, that's his thing,
And what about the rest of the band, Gar and Dave?
No.
So it was only Mustaine.
Yeah, and only Mustaine was a witch.
All right.
I want to talk about the song Holy Wars, but because before Marty Friedman, you played a demo of one of this song. What year did you record that song, Holy Wars? What do you
What?
remember? Holy Wars?
Yeah, but did you say what year?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it was probably
When it
this,
was recorded
it
that
was
day?
probably like, probably 6 months before they made the main record.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, I went in to record. That was the first time I met Nick Menza. He was the first person I met during that session. He walked up and he said, "Hey, I'm Nick. You're Chris, right?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Nice to meet you." And I was thinking about joining the band. And the reason I didn't, because my manager at the time, her name was Janie Hoffman. At the time, her company was called Speed of Sound. And she told me a couple different times that if I joined the band, I would probably, die from, an overdose or something. And I kind of like shrugged it off. And then the day we were driving for that meeting, she told me in the car while we met at the Ivy, and Dave was there and Ron Lafitte was there. And I think Andy Somers might have even been there, but I had made the decision when we got out of the car. I said, "Yeah, I'm not going to join." And then I told them. They were really upset, but I only had just gotten sober. I was only like maybe, God, not even a year sober. And we were we didn't know for sure, but if they were using drugs, I would have wound up using drugs again. So
you were worried about your health.
well, that and in Megadeth, there's not a lot of at that time, there wasn't a lot of free exchange of ideas. It was Dave's thing, and he wrote the music, and if you brought something to the table, it wasn't going to be like a whole song or anything. You might write a harmony here or there, and I was like, I was just about to make the Return to Metalopolis record, and I was like, I just thought, or I may have already made it. I can't remember that far back right now, but I just knew it didn't feel right, and I was like, nah, I can't do it. And then they got all upset with me, but not everything's about money, man.
Yeah. So Holy Wars was the only song from the Rust in Peace album that you got the chance to work back then in '89.
Techno Prisoners too, I think. Techno Prisoners.
Yeah, no, actually, I have my manager, Steve Bauer, just sent me these 2 CDs. Let me see if I can find them.
In that Holy Wars demo, exactly which are the riffs or solos did you play?
Yeah, no, actually, I played on Rust in Peace. I played on Lucretia. I played on Five Magics. I played on Tornado of Souls. I played on Take No Prisoners, Holy Wars, and Poison or Cure.
Pretty much the whole album.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I don't know, because I haven't listened to this, but my manager told me, yeah, I got these songs right here. You played on them. And he got these from Gar's wife, Gail. Gail sent him all these tracks and stuff. So I found all this stuff. I have this one, we didn't have a name for the band, but it was Gar on drums, his brother Stu on guitar, a bass player named Doug Burleson playing bass and singing. And at that time I was playing a Roland guitar synth, and we were doing like a UK kind of vibe thing. And nobody ever got to hear it because it just fell apart. But they're really good songs, man. That's the first thing I put in to hear, was because I hadn't heard it in so long. It could have been pretty cool, but we were all just, that was before Megadeth.
Yeah. So your solos and your ideas in all those demos from Rust in Peace didn't end up on the official release in 1990, right?
No, they didn't. And I'm not even sure. I mean, maybe Steve Bauer thinks that's me, and it might not be me. I don't know. haven't listened to it yet.
Mhm. And what do you think about Marty Friedman in Megadeth, replacing you actually because you were about to rejoin the band back then?
Oh yeah, I even told him. I said, "How can you go wrong with Marty Friedman?"
Yeah.
Because they were, they were kind of mad that I wasn't going to join. And look what happened. Obviously it was the right choice, wouldn't you say?
Mhm. Yeah, some things are meant to be.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to talk again about P-Cells because Dave Mustaine always says that he wrote the famous bass intro to the song P-Cells. And what memories do you have of it? Is what Mustaine says totally true, or did David Ellefson contribute in some way or another to the composition of that bass intro?
I don't know for sure, but I do know that Dave wrote the riff.
The guitar riff.
That's the riff in the whole song. I mean, Dave Ellefson might have said, "You know what? We should start this song with me just doing the bass riff." That probably happened, but I don't recall. It wasn't ever a subject that ever came up that I remember.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, Chris, something that maybe you didn't get to answer all the time is about this contribution you did for Lamb of God, like 15 years ago or 18 years ago on the albums Ashes of the Wake, right, and As the Palaces Burn. So how did that happen back then?
Again, my manager, my personal manager, Steve Bauer, somehow got a hold of Steve somehow, and then Chris Adler said, "Yeah, I want Chris to play on this," and I was blown away because when me and Peter Sardelich had recorded a lot of music with me in that time period, and he was a great engineer. And he put it on. We listened to it. We looked at each other like, "Man, we're gonna need some coffee," because it was like Megadeth on methamphetamines, man. It was so fast. We were like, "I can't believe this." And it really did kind of remind me of Megadeth in a way. And then Adler told me that, yeah, I'm a huge Megadeth fan. And that's funny because he wound up in the band.
Some years later. So that was back in the As the Palaces Burn, right? Or you meant Ashes of the Wake?
Oh, both. I mean, the second time we Chris Adler asked me to come on there, Alex Skolnick was on the same track with me, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah. I asked this because before As the Palaces Burn, which is the second Lamb of God album, that band wasn't really that well known in the States or Europe. It was pretty much like a baby band back then. So you were impressed by their music even at those early stages for them.
Oh yeah, I think those are their best records anyway.
Yeah.
For me, personally, I think I'm the same way most Megadeth fans are. They always feel like the first 2 or 3 records were the best ones, and I feel that way about the Lamb of God records. Maybe it's just because I was involved, but I don't think so, man. The drumming on those first 2 records is pretty insane, man. And all of it, the songwriting, guitar playing, tone.
And what about the singing? Because that kind of singing was maybe for you very different compared to the classic metal.
Oh yeah, you know what? I that's a matter of taste. I didn't think anything of it either way. I just enjoyed the music and the energy and the intensity of it.
All right.
It just made me feel like at that time I was really like, until we met Nick Benza, me and Pag, me and my bass player, Ohm was more of a fusion-y kind of, not very, it was kind of heavy, but when Nick joined the band, he brought this heavy edge, and we've been keeping that, and that's what I noticed when Lamb of God sent the very first track that I played on. I heard it and I was like, Jesus, man, my whole life is in slow motion right now. and I didn't change my ways, but But when Nick joined the band, me and Pag said, man, we gotta put the pedal to the metal, man. We really gotta like get a little bit heavier, actually a lot heavier. So that's why I'm really glad, you know, Carlos Cruz is a huge Nick Menza fan and a Gar Samuelson fan. So he was, you know, he was actually, after Nick passed, man, me and Pag were down. We were down, like, we didn't do anything for over 6 months. We didn't even play our instruments. And one day Carlos talked to, we were doing this kind of weird HBO thing that never came to fruition, but it was James and Madison were involved in that. And Madison called Carlos and said, hey man, do you think you could go down and maybe jam with those guys? And so Carlos said yes. So we met him, and he came in and he knew 10 of our songs the day we met him, and we couldn't even play him anymore. Took us a week to catch up with him. And then we just loved his playing because I mean, there's no, you can't replace Nick Menza, but Carlos just, you know, he understood that we wanted to keep it, you know, heavier, and he was just, you know, he really like stepped in and got us out of our funk, man.
All right.
I have one more question. I want to talk about the several versions of Killing Is My Business and Pieces, because in the case of Killing Is My Business, we have the original mix, we have the 2002 version, the Final Kill is the last version of Killing Is My Business, the original mix of Pieces, the remixed and remastered version of 2004, the DVD audio, it's great, this version. From all these versions, do you prefer any in particular from each album? Have you heard all these versions of?
I've heard the ones that I've heard the first version, of course, and then I heard the second version that Dave did while I was doing The System Has Failed.
Yeah,
and I like them both. They're totally different. They're way totally different. And the first ones are just, they're more, you know, once you hear something like that, it's tattooed on your brain, you know. And then when you hear a newer version and it's all souped up and like, you know, it's got, you know, technology all over it and whatever, it sounds great. It's just a different animal, you know, and I like them both, really.
Great.
I didn't, you know, when I was in the band and I heard Master of Puppets, I was really bummed out, man, because I just felt like, you know, and back then, you know, my mind wasn't like in the right place for guitar. I was like, I wish, you know, that I had my shit together more. Because when I heard the guitar tones and just the production of Master Puppets, I was just blown away, man. And I can't believe they never used that same producer ever again.
Yeah,
that was some of the best production I've ever heard, man.
Fleming Rasmussen, right?
Yeah, that guy is just, I mean, you know, those guys too. I mean, just the tones, the song ideas. It was just, that's one of my favorite records ever made, man.
So I want to ask you, since we're talking about System Has Failed era, how was the vibe when Dave called you on the phone and asked you to be part of this album?
Oh, no, it was cool. Everything was really good, man. We got along great. I know there was like some flack after, you know, when he released the demo solos or whatever. And I couldn't get a hold of Dave. I called his manager like 10 times. And I finally, on the 11th time, I left a message. I said, if you don't call me back, you're going to be hearing from Owen Sloan, who's my attorney. And so he calls me back, and then he insults me and tells me, well, Chris, all you did was a couple solos. And Dave and us thought that you would just do it for the fans. And I'm like, hey, I did it for the fans. but everybody else is getting paid. I'd like to get paid for it, you know?
Obviously.
You know, and so then all this, you know, just totally blown out of proportion. I got belittled by everybody, and it's like, come on, really? You know,
You actually recorded like
it's no skin off my
tracks,
nose. I got
8 tracks out of 10, right? Like pretty much the whole album.
You know, it just got so like, I guess people love drama. I guess I don't know.
Well, it's an amazing album. I remember when that album came out, I was really blown away. It was like the best Megadeth album in like many years. Of course, I like critic writings and even Risk. I know people is gonna throw me trash for saying this, but when System Has Failed came out, I was like, yes, this is the Megadeth I wanted to listen for so long. So thank you for that, Chris.
Well, it wasn't just me, man. Vinny Colaiuta played drums on that record.
Yeah.
And Dave, you know, Dave's writing, you know, was pretty really solid on that record, man.
Yeah. Too bad that lineup didn't end up together for many years later. It's a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you said before, you know, what's meant to be is meant to be, man.
Right. Jose Carlos, another question?
Are you in touch with Dave Mustaine or no?
Did you say with Dave Ellison?
Mustaine, he said.
Oh, no, I haven't spoken with Dave since I can't remember when. I guess back when I made the system.
Wow.
Oh,
yeah.
Like 18 years.
No, he got all, you know, he's like, you know, he's not, that's it. He ruined our friendship. And I'm like, come on, really?
Oh,
but,
right.
you know, whatever.
So if you cross path in a festival or something, do you say hi to him or?
I've never seen him. I haven't seen him since.
All right. All right. So last question, Chris. I know that you also got the chance to record some solos for this Generation Kill band with Rob Dukes, former Exodus singer. So how was?
Oh yeah, that's a really cool track. Did you guys like that?
Yeah, awesome. How was that experience with Rob Dukes?
That was really nice, man. Carlos did that with me too. Carlos Cruz engineered that.
Mm-hmm. So
yeah, I really like that song. I like that they let me do whatever I wanted. You know, they kept that little melody intro, and then they kept it as a theme on the out of the song, and it was cool.
Mm-hmm. So you get the chance to work with Rob Dukes on studio this time?
No. No, man. It always happens here at my studio in LA.
All right.
I run a bunch of studios. I mean, my day gig is I run a couple hundred recording and rehearsal studios, and that's how I get my own control room, tracking room situation. So I have a really cool studio. I have a small SSL board and a bunch of API and Neve preamps, and this is where I do my thing, and that's why I do it.
Right, great. So we got 2 more minutes for this interview. Is there something you want to add about your current band, some touring plans for this year, maybe?
Well, watch for the M Theory audio release of Exit Stage Left and the 9th one, and as soon as Carlos is ready, we're going to start finishing that record. And I just want to say thank you to all my fans, and especially all the Megadeth fans throughout the years. Really the most loyal fans that I've ever, I mean, really always, I mean, even fans that are my age still love Megadeth, you know? So
yeah,
it seems like it just never ends, you know?
Hey, it will never end for sure. That's timeless and ageless music.
Yeah, man.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, Chris. This was great. And
all right,
really looking forward your next releases.
I'll have Shauna let you know when they're available, and I'll make sure that you get a digital download.
Great. Thank you so much.
All right, you guys. Have a good night.
Thank you, Chris.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
If you like this interview, please give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, and share the video with all your friends. Also, very important, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell.